Hello, and welcome to our coverage of Love is Blind, Season 8, episodes 10 through 12. I'm Asia, and I'm here for the third week in a row to talk about this season of Love is Blind that is it's causing some chatter online. I mean, people have feelings and that's the goal, right? And of course, I'm not here alone. I'm here with my co-hosts, Mary and Jason. Mary and Jason, is there anything else we need to talk about?
Um,
I
Like,
don't
y'all
know if
didn't?
I
Did you have a
have any.
question for me?
no,
I think I'm
I don't.
pretty
I think we pretty much
good.
talked about everything we need
Yeah,
to talk
I mean,
about.
we'll probably like as long as you think we're probably gonna vote the same way, then
Uh huh.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think we're pretty good.
I mean, okay. Then maybe I have something to ask. I don't know.
Okay. I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah. I
that's
mean,
fine.
whatever. If you have something you feel like you need to
As
ask,
as long as it doesn't make me visibly uncomfortable to talk about on screen, I'm good. I'm totally fine.
Oh my goodness. Virginia and Devin, why did we need all of that dead space
They're
just to see
trying to
that
fill time.
conversation happen?
They're trying to fill time. It's like these episodes are almost all over an hour. Why? And this is what it's filled with: dead air and stupid dates, pickleball, making pizza. Like, what are we doing?
yeah, we could blow through all of the ones. I'm like, okay, we've got a scene. They're making pizza. Oh, cut to the next
Yep.
people. Never
Oh,
mind.
that's
That was
it.
it. It was
Okay.
just that.
Oh, dance rehearsal. No, we saw 2 seconds. Okay, that was
Right.
it.
I
Cool.
know. Oh my gosh. Y'all, it's a struggle getting through this season. I know we
On the
had
struggle
some
bus.
like intrigue.
I mean, moments. What I'll call them MPEs, moments per episodes, are
Yeah.
very low. Are very low this season. Any other season you might have a 3 or 4 MPE. This season is like a 1 MPE. We have
Yeah.
one moment that's worth talking about every episode. Be like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's cool. And
exactly.
then it seems like for other times we get right up to the line of being interesting and like digging deeper into something and be like, actually, no, we're gonna stop talking about this
we're,
now before
we're
we.
gonna reel it back.
Yeah,
Not do
crazy.
that. Oh,
Scraping. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we have plenty. Well, I was going to say we have plenty to discuss, but
There's
I
a
mean,
couple things. We got
yeah,
some
there's a
things.
couple things to discuss that I'm excited to see what y'all's thoughts were. And so make sure you go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed. That's where you can get all of our podcasts for Love is Blind. We started covering Love is Blind season 2. So we have a good chunk of seasons of Love is Blind, and you can catch up on. You can also find Jason and I's podcast about Married at First Sight called A Perfect Match on that feed as well. You can find us at WeKnowRealityTV.com or FirstSightPod.com, or just search Love at First Sight wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're also on the RHAP YouTube channel if you want to see our faces. And if you still need pictures for these couples, we got you. We will show the pictures of each couple as we discuss them. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating or review wherever you listen to our podcast. We really would love to hear your feedback, know that you're liking the pod, or what you want to hear more of or see more of. Make sure you leave us some comments on YouTube. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on YouTube. But yeah, let's dive in. Let's get one couple out of the way, which it seems like that is the approach for Love is Blind. Every scene that they have, it's as if they're saying, let's just get them out of the way. Like, let's revisit them. We haven't seen them in a few episodes. Let's talk about them. Let's
There
talk about Daniel and Taylor.
there are two possible ways that this is going to end. Option 1, the whole we circle back to the whole scenario with something bad was happening with Daniel. He's being sus and actually everything's going to come out. I doubt it. I doubt it really
Mm-hmm.
hard after meeting his family and seeing everything else. I just feel like no, they're just a perfect match and they're happy and this is it.
I mean, I don't think that's even a possibility. I think there's one possibility, as far as I can see, is that they're going to go all the way and both say yes. Because I think if there was something lurking in the shadows, we would get some sort of
Hint. Yeah.
some hint to it. But it's been totally smooth sailing for these two ever since the Instigate or Instagram gate or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I don't see anything but clear skies for them.
And honestly, like even in terms of the reunion, yeah, I mean, unless something came up between then, I just feel like it seems like this is the most steady we've ever had a couple. I feel like.
Yeah, and I don't know if like we can credit editing or the couple, because what they're giving us is that it just works. These two are just made for each other. It's so easy. There's no point of conflict. There's nothing we can even spoon feed you to make you think that anything is going to turn out differently at the weddings. It's just like, this is it. And so we're just going to show you they're happily ever after.
Yeah, like this season has been a lot of conflicting values, conflicting morals. These two seem to be in line with every single value and moral, right down to we love Christmas. Christmas is our favorite holiday. They seem to really be similar in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways they think, and a lot of ways they speak. So I think that's what's really driving this, is that they both think the same. They both talk the same. So they're even their families are pretty similar. So I think that's what's really helping them thrive in this moment.
In this episode, we see them very briefly play putt-putt, do a Christmas card photo shoot for their ornaments invitation, or no, maybe they're the like,
Christmas
gifts
cards
at the weddings. Yeah, Christmas cards, whatever. And then they go ice skating. In all three of those, we get a slight conversation about the wedding or the marriage, in which case both of them are like, yep, we're on board. I'm excited to get our marriage license, our first dance, 100%. This sounds great. No worries about the wedding. Everything is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's topics of politics and values and morals, but I'm sure it's all just like, yeah, that's exactly 100%. What I was thinking. That's exactly where I'm at with it. So it's boring to show all that. So we have to like mine anything we can, where anything we can is just, all right, they went on a date and had fun. Like, does that get y'all excited?
I'm just mad at the show for trying to making us feel a certain way about him for an entire week for no reason. Like when we saw that she had done an interview, she's just like, remember his character. It was just kind of like, yeah, we saw 6 episodes of Daniel thinking, oh, he's great for Taylor. That like it seems like a great match, and then you make him look like a stalker, and then it's like, oh, sorry, wrong person.
Yeah, they just. I don't know. That must have been the most stressful week of his life. Just to have that all out there and be like, oh my God, these people are just thinking the worst about me. I got these jokers on this podcast. I'm a creep. I'm a crazy person.
They wanted us to think so.
They did.
They really
That's
did.
what they were doing.
Like, there's no way this isn't true.
And this was a big scandal leading up to the season. Like this is like, do I know him? I think I've heard his voice before. I think I know this man. And it was a big pile of nothing in the end.
Well, because I'm so cynical, like that's the only fear I have, is that everything is perfect. They get married, and then we get to the reunion, and it's like, turns out he was a monster the whole time. And again, I know I'm like probably giving too much credit to the parent thing, but honestly, it was the scene where the parents met, and I'm like, his parents seem really like nice and stable and normal, and I just hope that they would not have raised a sociopath. So.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think I said last drop that a lot of these men seem like you would see them on a Hallmark movie or a Lifetime movie. Like, we thought he was perfect, but all of a sudden we found out he's hiding bodies in the basement.
Well, and especially because, well, we can get to it in a little bit, but like, because of all the alleged information that has come out about a different cast member who also seemed perfectly fine in the beginning, well, at least to some audience members, I feel like this is where you can't trust people, because then you find out that people are literal sociopaths who are literally saying, I think that there are benefits to being a sociopath.
Yeah. From Santa Claus to the Grinch.
It's just wild. So anyway.
I feel like, yeah, and it's totally a realistic fear of us as an audience, because we're getting so little of them that there are some people where it's like, okay, I feel like Dave, we've gotten so much of Dave that we know Dave's like motivations, the person that's most important to him above all else. Like, we know certain things about Dave, whereas with Daniel, if we had to sit here and describe him for a minute, what would we say? He's a nice guy. He loves Taylor. His parents love him and her.
Got a short man complex. That's probably the worst thing we can say about him at this point.
I'm just like so confused. So I think it's needless. I mean, we didn't start their wedding or anything. This drop, we do get their wedding next episode. Do we think it's an easy yes?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any worry about anyone saying no here. So
Yeah,
you know,
I think
it's crazy because I usually call this like phase of the season like the culling, right? This is where a lot of the couples drop off to where we get to the final two couples. Like for the last few seasons, that's where we've gotten. But we're going into next week with with including Ben and Sarah with 4 weddings that are going to happen. I don't know the last time we had that in Love Is Blind.
What is the episode going to be? 2 hours?
Oh God, I hope not. For like for the last few seasons, we've gone down to like 2 weddings, maybe 3 at the most. So it's going to be an interesting episodes. Like, oh God, I hope it's not 2 hours. Because the weddings are one of the most boring parts of Love Is Blind, in my opinion, because they spend the whole time making you like question whether or not they're going to say yes, even if we know they're going to say yes. Like I'm sure, I don't know what they're going to bring out for Daniel and Taylor to make there be any doubt that someone's going to say no, because you seem so perfect, but they're going to try. They're going to try. Well, maybe I would say no if blah, 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 blah. And it's just a bunch of that for every wedding. So that's going to be boring. But yeah, I feel like this is the most successful season so far. Because the fact that we have 4 weddings on the wedding episode.
Yeah. So easy yes for them. Let's move on to our next couple, who we will have plenty more to say about. Let's go ahead and talk about Dave and Lauren.
One of the people could have had 5 weddings, but I mean, I don't know. It wasn't looking like they were getting to a wedding, even based on the previous drop.
Yeah. My issue with Dave and Lauren is the whole perception that there was this big issue, and it's truly a non-issue if people were just being honest about their intentions, or being honest about like what their hesitations were. And then it turns into all of this drama that's for nothing because they end up breaking up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he says himself the most honest he is basically after they break up, and he says, I feel like I let her down in a way because I couldn't get over my own ego and pride, that she could have seen some other guy before me, which is normal for her to have done. I'm mad at myself for that. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. He goes through this whole breakup and tries to like put things on her, put things on the friends, put things on the situation. And the situation is he didn't like that she had been hooking up with someone beforehand, and he couldn't get over that. And he decided to make it a big deal. Like, that was it.
Dave is so wacky because he goes back and forth 1,000 times of like, I know it's my own ego that got in the way. And then the very next day when he's at the group thing, he's still blaming Lauren for going out with someone after that. Like, you just admitted that it's your own fault. So I don't know why you're still trying to pin things on her. And then he's telling her like, hey, if my family wanted to be there, like if I wanted to be there, they would be there. And then he's like, well, I tried to get them to come. They wouldn't come. Like, what are you talking about? You're talking contradictory to yourself.
The contradictions were so absurd because that was all the same conversation. It's just like, oh yeah, if they could, like, it was me who was preventing them from being here. If they could be here, they would be here. But I just, I was hesitant. And then to try to make it seem like, well, they really wanted to be here.
I tried to tell them you were a great person, but they just wouldn't listen. Like,
right? It's just the blatant gaslighting.
Well, and like, that's. I mean, I don't know if y'all have had this experience ever or know anyone who has, but usually, if your friends or family have not met your significant other or friend or whoever, and you tell them negative stories about them,
yes,
or you feed into their negative perception, they're going to have a negative perception probably forever. They're never going to forget that. They might forgive, but they won't forget, If you tell them though, oh, no, that's not what happened. They're a sweet person. Here, come meet them. They'll probably get over it. It's rare for someone to, I mean, we saw with another couple that like someone can have a negative first impression and then you just talk to them and then they hang out and they're like, oh yeah, actually everything's fine.
Yeah.
But this is why I always caution people of like, if you tell me a negative story about your boyfriend, I'm always going to be looking at them funny. Always.
Right.
If you told me that story. Like, I will always remember that. Even when you don't remember it, I will remember it. So it's, because you want to have their back. And so I just do not believe in the slightest that he actually tried in any way, shape, or form to get his friends or family to like her. If anything, he probably went along more with what they were saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It really bothered me when they went bowling that he was just like, my family doesn't just meet anyone. I'm
Ooh.
sorry. Is she not about to be like, the path here is that she's going to be your wife? You're
When he
treating her
said-
like y'all met at a bar.
When he said, I don't want to waste my sister's time, it was like, wow, this is the woman that you say you want to marry, that you're about to marry. And I just feel like all of that, what he was saying, was doing what I think everyone is accusing him of, including Molly later. She says, you're trying to get people to break up with you so that you don't have to do the dirty work. I think he's trying to push her away with all these bad things of like, yeah, I don't want to waste my sister's time. Pretty much leading her to be like, well, if you don't want to waste your sister's time, I feel like this isn't probably going to go any further. Like, he's like, yeah, and you want to break up with me, right? Because I don't want to be the one to do the dirty work. That whole bowling thing was so interesting because he was not even paying attention to her during the whole bowling. He was looking at his phone. He was like, oh, did you go? I didn't
right.
notice.
Exactly.
Like,
what kind of date is this?
Yeah, it was awful. You could just tell he was so checked out the whole time. And then they talk, and he does this whole like, I don't want to waste my sister's time and blah blah blah. And then he's like, what? And then they really get into it. He's like, well, I don't want to do this here. Like, we should do this somewhere else. Like, I think Dave is probably the person that's like, I don't want her to make a scene when I break up with her, so I don't want to do this in front of people. Like, he just gives me that vibe.
The most heartbreaking part for me was that Lauren says that a week ago he went to visit his sister and she wrote a whole letter explaining who she was, the situation, the experiment, her feelings for Dave, and her hope to be able to get to know the sister and make everything work. And he chose to not ever give that to his sister. So yeah, I mean, I feel like at the second that happens, it's like, well, there's no excuse.
Like, yeah, like he's literally the one that's not trying, because why wouldn't you? What motivation would you have just not to hand her a letter? Like, this is from Lauren, or even just have them hop on a phone conversation, because his logic in this whole breakup conversation was, I've received millions of messages about from my family and friends, and my friends wouldn't lie to me. I don't
understand how any of this worked. He made it seem like the second the experiment was over, he turns on his phone, which is blowing up with all these. How do they even know who he's with? How do they know about any of this? Exactly. So he must have told them. Did he not say, hey, here's the girl? I feel like he probably got his phone back, texted all of his friends and said, hey, here's the girl. Yeah, things are okay. I'm a little worried because I found out that she was dating this guy. Can you all look into this? I'm sure it was more like that, because how would they have known?
Didn't he say at some point that there was a warning before everyone went into the experiment that someone was here dating someone before they went to the experiment, and that was Lauren that they were talking about? I feel like he said that.
Or like his friends said that before.
Yeah, even before everyone went into the pods, that there was like warning about like someone has been in a relationship before they went in the pods, and it was her.
I'm sure that of the 30 people, I'm sure that's true for 20 of them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I talked a lot about it last time, but like, I just still don't think, I think if you're a person, especially around that age, who wants to get married and wants to find your person, a lot of them are like, I can't be wasting time, and therefore I'm going to be dating right up until I go. Now, I know that's a little different from her, where she was just seems like casually hooking up with him and didn't ever have any plan. It wasn't like she was trying to decide if he was the right person. She had already decided he wasn't going to be her long-term relationship. And at which point, okay, so this is just about sex. It's just about him uncomfortable with her having sex with someone.
Yeah. One thing that was really interesting for me with them was like, okay, he met her mom, and her dad chose not to be on camera. His parents didn't want to be on camera at all, which apparently his big sister doesn't either, because we still haven't seen her. Are we going to see her at the wedding? I don't know. But
what wedding?
Oh yeah, so we won't, right? Will they bring her for the reunion? Maybe.
She seems like the type that is not for that. I don't feel like she even wants to be like involved at all. I do wonder if, because I don't know when the reunion was taped, like, is he getting the bad press and she wants to come to the rescue of her brother? And maybe that's the only way I could see her being on camera for the reunion. I have no idea. But yeah, when they met her mom, you can tell her mom has all the info. She's trying the best she can in
Yeah.
the gentlest of ways to be like, F your sister, F your friends. This is your
Without
relationship.
y'all.
Yeah, this is you and my daughter. And the way that she was like stick up, like, we know Lauren. We know if people meet Lauren, they will love her. Like, so why can't you just introduce them to your friends and your mother? I mean, your sister. Like, you know, like,
Yeah. Well, my issue was the disrespect that he was showing for her dad. Like, whatever this off-camera meeting was that he had with her dad, and he was just like, your dad doesn't want to be on camera. And the stuff he was saying to me was just awful. And it was just like, first of all, why are you coming for her dad when you've said worse? She knows you are having all of these conversations with your friends, your sister about her. She doesn't even know what the context of those are. But now you're just sitting here blatantly showing disrespect towards my dad meeting you and his intentions for not wanting to be on camera and like it was so weird. He had this weird energy after that meeting.
I mean, and it sounded like the dad was basically being straight up with him, be like, "What the hell is your problem? Like,
Yes.
you are disrespecting my daughter, basically,
Mhm.
you know, shaming her for things she's done, and you know, like, and also saying like, yes, I don't want to be on camera, but I am here talking to you now. Your sister and your friends and your dad won't even bother talking to the woman, or either whichever way it is, you're refusing to let them talk to her, or they refusing to talk to her. I am here. Yes, I'm not on camera, but I'm in the process. They are just not in the process. And for him to be so offended by that, to be like, how dare he talk about my sister and my
Yeah.
friends not wanting to be involved in the experiment when, you know, he's not on camera. Like, that's a totally different thing. He is still here
Yes.
meeting you. So the way he was trying to spin that was outrageous to me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he was upset that the dad was calling him out for doing the things he was doing.
Yeah.
Is the thing. And I've never understood with this show when people like I can understand Frankenbites or whatever, but I never understand why people act like a family or friend of the person they're dating on the show doesn't want to be on camera is somehow a negative sign toward the relationship. They didn't sign up to be on camera.
Right.
But do you think they should require friends and family to be allowed to film, to have to film? Because I do feel like we're missing important conversations. I would have loved to have seen that David and Lauren's dad conversation where Lauren's dad calls him out. I don't want to hear about it
Yeah.
secondhand.
I don't
like
think you
plenty
can
of
do
people,
that.
I don't think you can require. I think you'd get way fewer people who on the show. I mean, like we've already seen, I don't know about this show, but like on The Bachelor, when they go to the family's houses, a lot of times that's not their house. These are like fake houses or Airbnbs or hotels or something because they don't want them to come to their house. Like that happens a
Well,
lot of the time. But like I know I just can't imagine my mom especially, but my parents in general, they wouldn't want to be on camera. Like they would definitely want to meet the person, support the relationship. They might be on camera during the wedding, but they don't want to have a whole scene on camera. Like that would be very uncomfortable for them if they're not the ones who signed up for this show.
Especially
yeah.
being attached to the situation that like you don't know what other like you're hearing these things about David, but you don't know what other conversations are happening that like can like you're now associated with that as being in a
Yeah.
family and you didn't sign up to be like
Well,
Lauren
and you're
did,
signing up for a bunch
David
of
did.
viewers to say negative things about you. Like a lot
Yeah,
of people just don't
like
want that,
us.
you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I just feel like we're missing a lot of context and a lot of things. Like, would have loved to have seen that conversation actually play out. And I feel like this season, more than some others, we're getting a lot of non-participation from family. So I think that's interesting. I would have to see like what would those conversations have been like if we had them. But I guess you're right. There would be probably less. There would be less participants. I feel like we would still have the same amount of participants, but maybe not
Yeah.
these specific ones.
Yeah. I mean, we could see like his the reason like so if we go back to the breakup conversation, Dave trying to make himself not be the bad guy. He specifically told the guys when all the couples in the pod squad met up, he was like, I didn't want to be the one to break up with her. I was trying not to be. It was just so annoying. And I like when I think about that, I'm like, okay, that's Dave's like whatever reason for why he wants to do things. Imagine his sister who doesn't even didn't want him to do this in the first place. And now you see him making a fool of himself, just like back and forth, like then she's gonna have to answer to, like, I mean, she doesn't have to, but like being on camera, now she's gonna have friends and family like, oh my gosh, what is your brother? Oh my gosh, like that's odd.
Well, she's gonna have that anyway because apparently Minnesota is so small, everyone knows each
Yeah.
other. So she got to answer those questions whether it's on camera or not. I did love when the first scene we got of them was him coming home from his night out, where it was like she was asking about his night out. He was like, "Oh, we went to this place," and she's like, "Oh, is that all you went to?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we did go to this other place where there were pod people." He's like, "Molly was there, but I didn't talk to her at all." He was like, "I'm not gonna fall into the Jeremy trap."
Right.
Of meeting my ex. I'm not going to do it. Like, he's like, I might be a bad guy doing bad stuff. I'm not Jeremy bad. I'm not at Jeremy level. Don't get me twisted. Oh, that was so funny.
That was funny. And I mean, it checked out later. Molly said she also didn't say hi to him. She said, but he did have some girl hanging all over him. She doesn't know who, but she's like, I'm just giving you that information.
Well, maybe it was his sister. Yeah, I just think it's like so night and day from the way that both Madison and Sarah handle the same thing of like pushback or tough conversations from their friends and family. Like if you like someone, then you're going to push back and say, I hear your concerns. Now let me back them up for you a little bit. Let me hope that they get to know them better. And I'm not to say like, I'm not saying don't take the advice of your family and friends. Like definitely take that into consideration. But the main thing is with here is he's not even letting her meet them and stand up for herself. So just like honestly, the whole breakup, all of this, I'm just like, why are we rehashing this again? This is going nowhere. Why is this drawn out this long? I hope this was 4 days after they got back. It wasn't because we already know it was over a week. But like, it was ridiculous.
I feel the reason he didn't want them to meet her is because they would be able to, okay, now we get to know her. That was just a situation. They would like her. And his issue, like he said, is his ego. The fact that she was even with someone at all in the recent past, that's what he can't get over. Not like, oh, she wasn't ready for marriage. Oh, all this different stuff. It's simply his ego. And he can't get over that. So he's like throwing it off on other people.
Yeah, he's like, why should they meet you anyway? They're not going to change their minds. Basically, meaning he's not going to change his mind.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to change my mind about me being upset that you were with someone a week before we left. It's this weird, this weird purity thing he's got or something. That's like, you can't have been with someone a week before you met me. That is nasty or something. That's like you're off for that. I don't know what that was about.
So
just the shaming was ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you feel like the stuff that was happening at the group meetup was him trying to save face and turn back into the nice guy? Or do you think he legitimately realized after he broke up with her, you don't know what you got till it's gone kind of thing?
I think number one, he was sloshed.
Very.
He was
extremely.
Lauren, I just
love is prioritizing the one that you really care about. Right. And that's what I was trying to do for you. It's like, no, you weren't. Like, you were not putting her first at all, ever.
And not at a single point. So I think you had that, right? So he's trying to finally like express his thoughts. But I do also think that because the original breakup did not go how he wanted, he wanted her to end things and she didn't. If this felt like an attempt to, okay, I'm trying to show that I messed up and that I want to give us a shot, but she's the one who doesn't want to. So therefore, she's the reason this is done.
Do you think of it?
I tried to make it better, but she wouldn't do it. It's her fault, not mine.
Do you think any of it at all? I mean, we don't have any evidence of this, but do you think any of it could have been that he thought maybe Molly would like him, and then when that completely doesn't pan out, he's like, whoop, pivot back? But I don't know. We didn't really see any evidence to make me believe that.
I mean, speaking of Molly, she is the real MVP.
Oh, she's so great. But I just feel like the whole thing is a little sus of the whole him being at the Pod Squad like downtown meetup or whatever when he went out with people and then like not talking to Molly. That does not seem, I think the way he's trying to play it off is like, no, I'm too good of a guy. I would never have gone over and talked to her. But I feel like it's like probably more like I saw her pictures. I wasn't actually interested in her, so that's why I didn't go over and talk to her.
Well, because I mean, he says that to Lauren, and later when Molly brings it up, she's like, "Yeah." The people were like, "Is Dave's over there?" She's like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do it." So which way was it? Was it Molly didn't want
Yeah.
to see Dave, or Dave didn't want to see Molly? It was
Yeah.
could have been both. Who knows?
Well, and Molly, who turns out to be the biggest girl's girl ever, so
Yeah.
love her.
Yeah.
That was amazing. She's like, have you seen his selfies on his Instagram?
Yeah, she goes up to Molly, or she goes up to Lauren, and it actually seems like, from what we saw, that she didn't even know they had broken up. And so
Yeah.
Lauren has to tell her we broke up, and she's like, whoa, okay, this is a surprise. But she's like, immediately says, well, I'm here for you if you need it. I'm on your side. Like, come on, David wasn't even that great anyway. And then when Dave shows up and talks to Molly, she basically is just like, what are you doing? Like, what's your problem? Like, why did you, like, just so you know, like, he instantly tries to almost blame it on on Lauren. And she's like, no, you're trying to push her to end it. That's not going to work. And then he just immediately says like, oh, well, I promised my sister that I wouldn't get engaged, so she wasn't happy with that. She's like, well, why'd you go on the show? Like,
Yeah, it's so like Dave was shaming Lauren, like, oh, how could you do this knowing you were going into this trying to get engaged? So what were you doing? What was your plan, Dave? Like, you were telling your sister that you weren't going here to get engaged, so shouldn't you be held to the same standard? I'm sure in Dave's mind it's not the same. It's not the same.
No.
It seems the only time Dave holds himself accountable is to take blame off of his sister. Like, no, it's not my sister's fault. It's my fault. That's the only time he takes blame for himself. Like, don't blame my sister. It's my fault. I told her I wouldn't get engaged. She only let me go on the show because I told her I wouldn't get engaged. She only let you go on the show? Like, what's happening? Are you 5? Mother? Like, what's up?
The amount of my sisters that we heard from this man, like, me and my brother are 2 peas in a pod. We are inseparable. But he's not my sister everywhere he goes. Like, and in all of the decisions he has to make in life. Oh, I have to see what my sister says. Or I have to see what like, Dave, it's reaching a level of unhealthy. I mean, we were probably already there, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, do you make any decisions that are yours and yours alone, that you do not have your sister's input? It's just wild that she is a reoccurring character this season and has not been on the show. Like, that's it. And imagine the amount of my sisters they cut. Because like we're getting just what made the cutting room floor. Like, or just what made the episode. I can't wrap my mind around it. But I was sitting here thinking, imagine a world that Dave and Molly ended up being the ones engaged. I feel like it would have ended sooner because Molly is bold. Molly will call him out, and she would not have let this last this long.
Molly would have found his sister on her own and like approached her out in public. Like, hey, I'm Dave's fiance.
Yes. Molly would not have stood for this whatsoever. I just feel like, yes, Lauren wanted this so bad that she somehow was able to look past the blatant, obvious red flags of Dave. And it to the point that she was just driving herself mad, crying all the time because she's just trying to figure out how to get out of this situation. It's like, Lauren, there is no getting out of the situation because it's all on Dave.
Yeah, it seemed like he was annoyed by the end that she wouldn't end it. So he's just like, you know what? Like, fine, I'll end it.
And then he literally talks to Lauren and says, I wanted to text you. And she says, well, you didn't. And he says, well, you didn't either. And she's like, yeah, because I was pissed. I feel like I've given you 150% and you didn't give me anything. Why would I come and text you after this? Like, so I don't know if he wanted her to like grovel or whatever, but he was definitely trying to blame her, be like, well, clearly you didn't really like me because you didn't do that. She's like,
well, remember, that's why he broke up with Molly.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you think that we are going to see at the reunion that they are either together or did try again and date at any point? Or do you think Lauren
Yes,
putting her foot down?
I could see the latter.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they went back to dating a little bit and still couldn't make it work. I don't know if she will ever have met his sister. Do you think she will have ever met his sister by the time we come to reunion time?
I think she will have met his sister, but I don't think that they will be. I think that they will say that we dated a little bit, but we're not together now. I mean, I hope for her sake. She just deserves so much better. So me saying this about a person who I do not know, but from what we've seen, it looks like I just don't think anyone deserves to be treated the way Dave treated them. So
for sure, I would be surprised if he had this like drunken, tearful like thing to Lauren, and Lauren's like, okay, we can try again. And the next morning he wakes up like, what did I do? And he's like, I don't know why you let me get back together with you. You knew I was drunk that night. I don't know why you said yes to that. Like he would try to put it on her to be like, why would you do that? Why would you let me do that for you? Like it would be that weird. But Dave is a creep, and that's all to be said. He needs to go to therapy to cut the apron strings from his sister.
Oh, I could see a world where she casually runs into Dave's sister, like since Minnesota, like as Minneapolis is so small, or maybe something happens there where they're actually able to talk. But it's just like they are clearly not a match because of Dave. Maybe at their core they could be a match. Like maybe there was something in all their conversations that was like, wow, this really is something. But just with how Dave is was as of the time that they were engaged, no. Lauren, you could do better.
Is there a world where we Fight Club this thing and there was never any sister at all? It was just like my sister, and it was really just him like in drag as the sister. Like,
so you joke, but one of my thoughts was, okay, he's mentioned this sister so many times. I'm going to look up his Instagram and see, because I'm picturing, okay, he's so close with her. He's got to have a billion pictures with her. Quick scan, I did not see anything obvious. There are some pictures with some women, but there's no way of knowing if it's his sister, friends, or dates or whatever. So
yes,
it was not obvious. Like, oh, and me and my best friend, my sister.
Yeah, someone on TikTok identified a woman that was on his Instagram as his sister. I don't know how they were able to verify it, but yeah, I saw the same thing where he has pictures of multiple women, but he's not like my lovely sister. So
I don't know. I'm super close with my siblings and lots of pictures on my Instagram.
Same
with my siblings. So yeah, Asia, you do too. So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
okay,
just a quick scan. You barely have to scan down before you've seen both my brother and sister multiple times.
All right, y'all, just put it in my face. We have siblings. You don't. Okay. Jeez. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Way to sibling shame.
I just want proof being backed up for him. To be like, if you're talking about your sister that much, but really you don't put, because I would have expected her to basically run your Instagram for you.
Right.
I have this picture of his sister. It's just this very stern, buttoned up person. Like it's probably like 30 years older than he is. That's just a picture I have in my head of just this very stern older lady. That's a picture I have when I think of David's sister. The way that he's talked about her, she seems so strict and stern. It's probably just someone that's like, I don't know, 5 to 6 years older than he is.
Yeah.
But, it's just a picture I have in my head of her at this point.
I'm a little stuck on your Fight Club reference. I've never seen the movie. So is that a thing? That's the point of the movie?
We don't talk about it.
So
like it's not real.
Spoiler alert for Fight Club. The Brad Pitt character is a big character, and he sees...
It's a big spoiler. Like, actually, hold on. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. If you have not seen Fight Club, please get out. Like, please. This is a big spoiler that he's about to say. Okay. All right.
It's revealed basically that the character, was it the Brad Pitt character or the
Brad Pitt character?
The Brad Pitt character is not real. It's all it's Ed Norton, right?
It's Ed Norris. It's a manifestation of himself, of a different version of himself that he would want to be.
Yes. So he's seeing Brad Pitt as a character that's actually there, but it's actually someone that's not there. It's a very
watch the whole movie thinking that there's two characters. That character does not exist.
It's a very Sixth Sense level of craziness. So I just wouldn't be surprised because he's seeing his sister. It's like sister's just not even really there. It's just it's him dressed up as a woman or something.
The spoiler warning that is a movie that came out in 1999.
But it's a good movie. People should watch it. But because I think one wanted to make sure that people were not going to be like, oh yeah, Fight Club, first rule of Fight Clubs, we don't talk about Fight Club. That's not the spoiler.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, good to know. I mean, anything else on Lauren and
no,
Dave? I just
no.
felt
Hope-
like this was
hope
the
to
most.
never see them together again.
Oh, fingers crossed. If we, oh yeah, like you said, if we get to the reunion and they are together, oh,
Do you think Dave's going to be in a relationship at the reunion? And they're going to be like, well, has she met your sister? How does your sister feel
right.
about this
You'd be
woman?
like, she has met my sister.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
well, when you're not self-sabotaging a relationship on purpose, it can actually
Mhm.
turn out okay.
right. Yeah,
This
just
man.
Dave just needs someone who is a virgin, and they can live
Yeah.
happily ever after.
And when Molly asked him, like, so when's the last time you had sex? And he's like, ooh, can't, you know what? I can't remember. You know, if I had sex in a long time, I think I'd be able to remember the day that it happened. I'd be like, well, it's been exactly, 12 months, 5 days, and 6 hours since I last had the sex. It was just weird. He's like, I don't know. It made me wonder, like, is he like, was it a month before the thing, and he just doesn't want to?
Or was it 5 years? Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
It's one or the
I
other.
read, yeah, I kind of read it as it was in the same time frame as Lauren, and he doesn't want to get called out for it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's certainly, if this was a scripted show, that's certainly the answer.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to more of the chaos. Chaos, quote unquote, of the group.
awkward tension.
The group hangout. We did get to have an update on the love square of Alex, Madison, Mason, and Meg. Mason and Meg are together.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, the show pretty much spoiled that in all the preview material anyway, so we kind of knew that coming in. But that wasn't a lie. There was so much lying in the previews of this show. Like of every drop, there's been so many lies. Like remember when Dave and Lauren were in the preview, they're talking about, I don't know, his phone turned green, so it's the day of our wedding. It's like, really? Like y'all lied hard on that one. But yes, Mason and Meg together again, which was like, okay, cool.
Right. I wonder.
fine.
Yeah. It was almost immediate that they reached out and were like, well, let's try this thing again. But with Madison and Alex, it seems like Alex just messaged her and was like, oh my gosh.
Damn, girl, you fine.
Right.
Was basically his message to her.
Yeah. And they tried, but it didn't work.
Well, I don't know if you would want to call it tried. Alex, like,
they chatted some more.
Alex was pestering her to try and get to get together, and it seemed like she was pretty resistant to it because she was still pretty hurt about the way that he ended things with her.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense. And it just seems like Madison, who, I don't think is ever one to not shy away from trying to cause a little bit of drama, was like trying to talk about, well, Alex told me that him and Meg were getting together, and she didn't even know if me and Alex were together or not. And I don't know who to believe. Alex says that, but I don't know. Is he and Meg get together? I don't know. It was so like, okay, Madison, like, you don't need to start all this drama here. Like no one really cares. And then Alex, who didn't even interact with Madison at all. I feel like we needed to have a Madison Alex conversation. I don't know if one of them declined to have that conversation, but Alex was talking to Devin, and he was like, oh my God, man, there's been so much drama since I saw you guys last time. And then he's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to talk about it. And Devin's like, okay, you don't got to talk about it if you don't want to.
Right.
I really don't care.
The way that Alex said he didn't want to talk about the drama with the biggest smile on his face, like he was loving it, was
yeah.
So also who are those girls? You've messaged Madison. You know who Madison is. And when she did the pink hair, she posted that real time on her Instagram feed. So he knows very well that she has pink hair.
Well, he literally saw her at the airport. Like they saw
maybe she didn't have pink hair then.
Well, okay.
But
it doesn't change her whole appearance.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like, even if he tries to use that as an excuse, like, oh, the pink hair threw me off, whatever. You know what she looks like. You know she has pink hair. But if we dive into the TikTok street,
right?
there are a lot of allegations about Alex, and
like the most, like it's like a Lifetime horror movie.
Yes,
like actually.
See, that's what I've been saying about these men. they are perfect
Well,
lifetime movie fodder.
I mean, I think even just looking at like, I mean, I don't want to say facts versus allegations. I say allegations in the like, nothing has technically been submitted criminally, but like if the text messages are real, like you can connect them pretty quickly,
Yeah,
pretty
where
easily.
there's smoke, there's fire. No one's
Yeah.
putting forth all these allegations on an innocent man.
But the facts definitely appear to be most of what he said in the pods about himself, complete lie. Like he was not bullied. He was not overweight. He was not unpopular. Like none of
He
these
didn't
things
have
are
a
true.
fro.
None of these things are true. Like if any of that was true, we're talking earlier than middle school, because all of the pictures, his high school yearbook, he had a music video in high school. He was very clearly very popular, looked very similar to how he does here, except just younger, like
Mhm.
I don't know what the purpose of all of this was. He like, and I don't say this lightly, based on all of the TikToks I've seen and all the information that I've seen from multiple different sources and stuff. I mean, I'm trying to think of a
It's
nicer way to
sad.
say it. It seems like he is a sociopath. Like that is what it seems like. Like it is rough out there.
Yeah, and this isn't some like the Ben situation where a girl went on TikTok and said she dated me and
No, this
and
is
I don't
like
know. This is like
screenshots of messages,
message
like
on message on receipt after
from
receipt after receipt. Yeah.
different people. And I like, again, I'm trying to think of a nicer word, but I don't know why I'm trying to be nicer about this, because it's just like there is a big difference between there's a conflation and a big difference between things that could be like sexual kinks and interests versus you have like this is not okay. I don't know how to state this better. But
I mean, criminal behavior.
yeah, criminal behavior, obviously, but also like this is not necessarily the forum to go into this whole discussion, but I'll say, Asia, what is the name? Can we cite the woman who's doing a lot of these TikToks to get out as well?
Yeah, so if you want more details on these allegations, I would say definitely go look at Story Time with Ricky on TikTok. She has posted part 1s, part 2s.
Yes.
Every angle of a lot of stuff happening with this whole cast.
Yes.
But specifically with the Alex allegations, she has done her research to have all of the receipts, and so it's worth checking out if you are curious about the details of what Alex is being accused of, with screenshots of a number that is directly tied to Alex.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
But I did like the Megan Mason stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like I'm surprised that they didn't actually just like get together to begin with on the show.
Yeah, I like that they did their reveal outfits, like, in public. They wore them.
Yes.
They want to wear on the reveal. That was funny. So yeah, do we think they're going to be together at the reunion, or is this going to be something that
Do you
they
think they'll be
tried? And
The reunion?
Huh?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Do
Especially
we think
since they
Alex
met-
is going to be there? Like, what do we think? When was the reunion filmed? I don't know. It has all the stuff come out about Alex by the time the reunion is filming. Because I do feel like
if it filmed before the show started airing, then he probably will be there.
I think if a lot of the stuff came out before they had filmed it, I would hope that he's not there. And I would hope that the show says something like acknowledges it. But I don't know. The timeline, my guess is that the reunion will have been filmed first.
Yeah.
So do we think the square will be there? Because I mean, really, they have no real ties to anyone else that actually.
I know, but they spent so much time on them in the first 6 episodes. It's like, how do you not get an update?
They could do the thing they've done in the past where they bring them in for a segment and then they leave.
Yeah. Or they're sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
They pan to them. Another thing in the TikTok streets, though, with Madison is apparently people are attacking the fact that she says she's an artist. And they're like, this is what Madison thinks art is. I'm sorry. When has art not just been an expression of whatever the artist wants?
Yeah.
So that's been such a weird thing to see her have to defend, is the fact that she's an artist and people not liking her art, so therefore attacking her for being an artist.
I'm an artist and I make exclusively Mario pointillisms. So you can attack that all you want, but that's art, baby. It's art.
I don't even know what that is.
Sounds legit.
It's one thing. And I want to be clear because everything I just said was like super vague and disjointed about Alex, and there were a lot of like heavy words in there. But I just really feel like if I want people to go watch those videos with Storytime with Ricky, and I think everything will make sense.
Yeah.
Just go watch them.
Let's move on to a
Yes,
couple who they were literally just trying their hardest to put stuff together for. Let's talk about Virginia and Devin.
I'm confused.
I think the plain and simple of it is she's out of his league.
Well,
Oh yeah.
there's that, but as for everything else that she has done and shown how generally she seems pretty put together, have thought through all this, I am surprised that they never had a conversation about politics in the pods. You would have thought that would be like a pretty early thing to do, talk about your morals and your values. It's just weird to me that he keeps saying, yeah, we're on the same page about everything. And I'm like, are you? You haven't even talked about it.
No, I feel like that's his immaturity in relationships. But I feel like every time they have talked about politics that we've seen on screen, which is that one conversation, I feel like it was her bringing it up. Whereas in the pods, we know that she had an issue opening up. She was having fun. They had activities, and it's easy to not get into the deep stuff when you are having activities or stuff to distract yourselves from.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like because she was not the one to bring it up, it was not discussed.
Yeah, I think their politics talk was one of the most awkward exchanges we've ever seen on Love Is Blind. Because it starts out like how we intro the podcast of like, so anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to bring up? He's just like, nope. He's literally laying on the bed with his arms folded, just like, nope. I got nothing. And I don't know if this is their dynamic when cameras are away, but it just seems like their vibe is just still very stranger-like to me. It's just like they don't seem natural. They don't seem to have the chemistry at all in any of their scenes that we've seen. I don't see a lot of the natural chemistry that they should have at this point.
And I feel like she's
awkward.
Yes, and I feel like she tries to loosen up, like ha 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 da da da. She tries to poke fun at him at times, and he's like, "No, I wasn't thinking that," or "Oh, I wasn't." He never gets it. So just I feel like there is something about it, like either he's not being himself on camera, and maybe she's seeing something off camera that's like, or it's just like he is still seeming like such a nice guy to her that it's like, well, I haven't really found a reason to not say yes, but he's sweet,
Never found a reason to not say yes, and this conversation happens.
Oh,
and we start out by talking about like PDA. He's like, yeah, I'm not really a PDA person. He's like, I see other people do it and I don't like it, so I don't want to be hypocritical and say I don't want to. I want to do it. And she's like, yeah, but this hugging and kissing seems like to be fine. He says, yeah, that's fine. And then we get into like, what else can we talk about? She's like, it almost seems like she wants to bring it up, but she almost wants him to bring it up. She's like, force yourself, think of something. You can think of anything. And then a long silence, and like, she's like, all right, well, how about politics?
If the way she brought this up felt like, okay, we haven't had any conflict yet, but I do want to put this out there because I do need to know if we stand similarly in this. And I don't know how you're going to respond to this because I actually really don't know you. But I don't know how this is going to go. So they were walking on eggshell this entire conversation. And the fact that like we find out that he's more than okay voting differently. What his perception is, it depends on the candidates.
Ooh. And then our second person this season to be like, well, I'm just not being into politics. Like, I don't really think about it. Like, ooh, you especially, my man, should definitely be thinking about politics. In our day and age, it should be important to you and to your rights to actually think about politics.
It's just kind of wild that like people still, like when you're younger, maybe in high school, people see politics is politics, right? Has nothing to do with me. No, politics shapes decisions we can make in our lives. Like the people who are in those positions shape a lot of the ways that we can live our lives. Simple as that. And the fact that people still at his big old age can say, no, I'm not into politics. You're not into the way you live life?
Well, I think that it says something to a person when they have that viewpoint of how sheltered they are,
Yes.
and to also their upbringing, because Devin feels like a person that is like some of these other cast members as well, very much tucked under their parents' wing of like, I don't have a thought unless my mommy says I should have a thought. So we've never really had those conversations about politics. I just didn't think I needed to have that conversation because I just vote however my mommy and daddy vote. They tell me how to vote, and that's how I vote. And I don't think much of it if I do vote at all. So it just seems like he's in that mind space still. That he's like 29 at this point, and just still having these conversations just tells you how immature he is. And Brittany, we'll talk about it at the group outing of like, he just seems like a child. He seems very, very kiddish, and that's a very kiddish type of thought of like, I just don't think about it. Why is it important? I don't know.
Yeah, and I remember
you both sighed at the exact same time.
Well, I remember there being a big debate, because this is different, similar but different to the guy, was it last season, who was like their mom did all their taxes and it obviously handled very differently between Virginia and I don't remember her name, whoever that was. Obviously a very different conversation. I feel like it was like Madison also, whatever.
Yeah.
Is this idea of like a person in a relationship trying to
Nick and Hannah.
Thank you, Nick and Hannah. It's a little different, but in both scenarios, it seems like the guy was kind of sheltered and a little bit like hadn't even thought about doing some of these things on his own, having an opinion about some of these things. And I mean, most of what he even says about politics isn't even his thoughts. It's more like, well, my family, blah, 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 or my parents, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, it's interesting. They do, before this whole conversation, meet with her mom. And I really liked the way her mom was quizzing and questioning both of them, not just him. And like a lot of the questions you said, like, what kind of things do you see in your family that you plan to bring to your relationship? What does commitment mean to you? Like, she was giving really good questions. I did like that whole conversation.
Her mom. So this paints a new light on this conversation that Virginia and Devin had in the bed. Her mom is a state representative.
Oh,
yeah. Like, thank you, TikTok.
Yeah. So it just tells you how important it is to Virginia. And it's so crazy that it's just not important to Devin at all, and how this has not come up before, which tells me that Virginia is like, this was the last hurdle that Virginia needed to clear, right? She's like, everything else seems okay. Now let's tackle the real issue before we get married. Let's make sure that I've had fun for the last week and a half that we've been home, but like, this is my last thing I gotta check and make sure that we're all on the same page with. And then when she checked, it was like, oh no. Like,
and the fact that that's what kind of like I remember saying a lot last week. I don't know what they like, what is it there? Like, what do they really like about each other? Besides the fact that he's attracted to her and she thinks he's nice. Because to have to ask at this point, when you would think at this point you've had enough like just conversations about life in general. The fact that she has to ask what she doesn't know, that shows like that's not reflective in how he like lives his life. Like, it's not very clear to her because it comes up just naturally. Like, I mean, not natural. It wouldn't come up naturally who you voted for, but it comes up naturally what you prioritize in life, those type of things.
Well, yeah, it comes up in issues especially now in the current age we're in. It comes up all the time because things happen in politics daily. So you would think if you were a couple that talks about the world and life in general, that these issues would come up, and that would lead to, what are your stances on this? What's your stance on that? Because every day there's something like, hey, you see what happened today? What do you think about it? Like, how do you feel? That's conversation I have with my wife every day of like, did you see what happened today? Like, what do you think about that? So it's like, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And for them to not have even had that issue just tells me that they are in like kind of this la la land right now of like, we're not going to get into anything serious. We're not going to get anything deep. We're having fun right now. We're getting to know each other on a surface level.
We're only getting married.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they handle it. And now it's just like, okay, we put it off long enough. Like, we're about to get married in a few days. So let's talk about real stuff.
the fact that she has to spell it out for him, because it's like you said, Mary, what he's saying is just like he's echoing it from his parents. So he asked her, do you vote based on your faith? And she's like, that's the thing. I do believe I am. And she's like, and I vote Democratic. And what I'm voting for does feel like I am aligning with, what I believe, with my faith. And even after she says that, she's like, well, how does your family vote? He's like, well, my family votes with how they align with their faith. It's just like, okay, so let's expand on that, because if we both are voting based on our faith, then like, what does that mean to you? Because I'm trying to explain what it means to me, but you're just echoing what your parents have told you. And so the fact that she has to say, yeah, it's an interesting time to live in the United States. Do you care to comment on that? Like,
no, I'm good.
He's like, nope, because I can't really comment because I don't know what I'm really actually talking about. Because I mean, that's the thing about faith and religion, right? Because there are so many interpretations for faith and religion, because we all can say we're this denomination, but that means different things to each of us.
Yeah.
Right. And how you see written text, how you see scripture, how you see this and that means different things to different people, because they both have the same faith. They both think they're living their values to that same faith, but they are opposing values, which is crazy to think of how, like, you can have the same beliefs, but not really. And that's where we kind of get into this, where she says, I think that, we get into abortion rates. She's like, I think a woman should have the right to say what happens to their body. He's like, well, kinda, yeah, but the guy should also have an opinion. It's like, well, you can have an opinion, but at the end of the day, like, there are two votes here, and one vote is dealing with one person's actual body. The other vote just unfortunately does not matter as much, because the one voter has the main right here. And you can see he's just very uncomfortable talking about this exact topic,
which is the biggest red flag to me. Like, it's an even bigger red flag to be so uncomfortable about a conversation about just like what we think is important, like what values we hold and why, than someone like Ben, who is trying, like, he's making a slight effort to explain, but it isn't this like, whoa, this is like uncomfortable. I mean, it's not far past where Devin is, don't get me wrong, but it just feels like Devin doesn't even want to speak any words about it. Like, he's not even willing to entertain the conversation.
Which I think is interesting, because if you are so uncomfortable to talk about your opinions and your views on a televised show, maybe you should think about that. maybe you should take that into account and to actually think about what your views and your values are if you're saying, I'm just not comfortable saying it out in public. Like, that may be a thing to think about later, Devin.
And it also sheds new light onto the next two scenes we get with them, which are the prenup, take 1 and take 2, which is, I think if these are the kind of responses she's getting, I could totally understand why she's saying, look, I like this guy, and I'd be even maybe willing to marry him on a TV show, but I'm going to need a backup plan, because we're not having all these conversations at the moment. And like, who knows, he seems uncomfortable. We're not connecting, whatever. So
that's what confuses me about just like even getting to this point, even signing a prenup, because Virginia, y'all just had this whole conversation, and then you still have to ask, so are we voting the same as the polls or
and
not?
And Virginia, at the end of the conversation, so she goes, so we're on alignment with that. I'm like, no, you're not. How did you get that on the conversation you just had? Like, are you just trying to tell yourself what you want to hear? It's like, no, baby, you're not. You really aren't.
It was so clear that he just was avoiding giving any real thoughts on it. He wouldn't expand. He wouldn't get into a deeper conversation. There's no like having a debate with him about anything. Like, oh, let me explain how I feel. You explain how you feel. And we just kind of understand
which
each other's...
either means he doesn't want to share his opinions because they're probably opposite from hers, or he has not ever thought of this and does not have thoughts on it.
Well, I think he has thoughts. I think they're just totally opposite of the things that she's saying right now. And he doesn't want to get into that on camera, especially. I love when they were talking about, when she asked, like, are we going to vote the same? He's like, well, if we didn't, would that be a problem? She's like,
which means he's totally okay doing so.
Yeah. She's like, I mean, it wouldn't be a huge problem, but we would have to talk about it. And he's like, well, and he says, it depends on the candidate. Well, she says, but I mean, like, she says, it's like, but I mean, the candidate in whichever party says a lot about that candidate and their values and beliefs. And like, it brings up like, Virginia says like outright, she's like, well, we're black, so we're not Republicans. And it's like, but my dad
is black,
meaning my dad's a Republican. And she's like, oh well, not your dad, but I'm just saying in general. Like, what?
But she goes, there's just not a lot of black Republicans. He goes, well, my dad is black.
This is such
Devin, we just discussed that. We know where your family stands politically. She's not specifically saying that there are no black Republicans.
She kind of did, and he was like, well, my dad's one. She's like, well,
no, she said there's not a lot. Like, I get what, like, that's another thing. He just doesn't get her. Like, it's so annoying because he never gets what she's trying to say, and it just gets brushed aside. And I'm just like, oh, Virginia.
I think he's
so much better.
I think he gets it. I think he just doesn't want to talk about it.
Well,
I think he's avoiding.
But so she has explained the whole thing with the prenup like 4 times. She says it again. Here's the prenup. She prints it out. She gives it to him. It's basically you come in, you leave with what you came in with. Anything added in the marriage, we divvy up essentially. And he's like, okay, I'm just going to have my mom and my lawyer and some other people look at this. It's like, okay, you're a lawyer. You mean your parents' lawyer. Anyway, he leaves, comes back later, and he's like, yep. So I looked at it with some people, and I explained to them that, it's just we leave with what we came in with. Anything added in the marriage,
the same script we've been hearing every drop.
That seems fine. And she's like, yep. And that's it. There was so anticlimactic. He signed it.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing? Why do we need 18 scenes of this?
I wanted Virginia to be like, you do understand that you have nothing for me to steal from you. Like, this is about you stealing from me. I'm protecting myself. Like, let's real talk. I have presented to you like we're protecting both of ourselves, but I'm the only one that has things to protect. So I don't know what you think I'm doing to you. You think I want half your sneaker collection? What do you think I want? Like, I don't know what you think this is. But, and it brings up an issue of like trust in these relationships of like, I'm about to marry you, but I don't trust you all the way. Like, I think you might be scamming me with this prenup thing. Like, it's like, I know what you're saying. I understand you're saying, and this is just, we leave what we came with, but I gotta make sure you're not lying. I gotta make sure you're not scamming me. At that point, it's like, well, then why are we even doing this? If you think I'm going to scam you, if you think I'm going to steal from you, why are we getting married? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It was just so funny. I'm gonna have to. He was like, I'm gonna have to read through this. He looked at it. He's like, there's a lot of
That's
papers.
a lot of words.
Actually, I'm gonna have my lawyer look at it because I don't even understand what half this means. So I'm gonna turn it into my mommy, who's gonna give it to my lawyer, and I have my mommy sign it. Like, it's almost like a permission slip. I'll have to show my mother this to make sure I'm good to do this. It was just so hilarious.
I just hope she recognizes that it has been like pulling teeth and having these type of conversations that like are important to her. Like, how are they ever going to talk about her mom's line of work if he's like, I'm not really into politics?
Yeah.
But yeah, what do y'all think that even he would say yes at the altar?
I think he'll say yes because I think his attitude toward the whole thing is just like, well, we just don't have to talk about it. Like, kind of like a Ben. Like, well, it doesn't really affect us, so we don't have to actually even talk about it. Right. I think the question is all on her shoulders. Is it a yes for her or not?
I don't think it is.
I don't either.
I think this drop solidified to me that I think she's just gonna say, yeah, I just felt like we weren't ready. Couldn't get there. We don't align on everything.
Yeah, but to me, I think, and I feel this way about a couple of the couples. If she says no, I don't feel like we've really gotten any like confessionals from her with any doubt. There hasn't been much doubt coming from her on her own for me.
Yeah.
Actually, because if I was just reading the edit for what the edit is, I would think she's saying yes because he did sign the prenup.
Sure, but
I think in her heart, like when it's happening, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, what am I doing? Like, this is not my forever person. Like, what? Like, it seemed nice and la la la, but I feel like she could have a real conversation with her mom, where her mom is like, "Is this your person?"
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, so far she has not really expressed much doubt, out loud. Anyway, on the show,
and maybe there has been doubt, and we just haven't seen it because they want us to believe that she's fine with it.
But I mean, why are we waiting until the last minute to show us any doubt and then her say no? Like that to me is
You
not
truly
good.
think she's gonna say yes?
I think she might. I think there's a chance she says yes. Because we haven't gotten any doubt from her express. That's what I'm saying. In terms of storytelling, if she's gonna say no, I feel like I would have appreciated some lead up to her saying no. I don't want to be a surprise and only be like, what the hell? Why did she say no? She has expressed no real doubt to us, the audience, that she's gonna say no. It would kind of feel like I was being lied to in a way.
Well,
Like,
I feel like we were lied to last season with Ramses breaking up with her before the wedding.
but I think there were several conversations where we were just like, yeah, no, like this
Like
is not
this
gonna work.
conversation.
But at the end of it, I didn't feel that she was like a no-go. She lied to herself, was like, so we're aligned on that, right? Like, you know, so I don't know. I think as it stands now, I would be surprised she said no. But I can totally see the reasoning behind her saying no. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What do we think of the Brittany and Devin meeting? We touched on it like for a second, but it was just like,
It's just
He
nothing.
said he looks like a child, which is
Yeah, that was it.
I like how
she seems like a nice friend. That was
I like how she called him out again for his reaction to what she
Mhm.
said about her sexuality. I think that was a nice turn back around. Like, he was just like, yeah, like I guess. Like
Yeah,
he's like no real like, oh, I'm so sorry for how I made you feel. Like no, cool.
No.
You just weren't my person. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Ugh. Okay. All right. Let's talk about Joey and
friends?
Monica. Yeah, our friends. I know. Hey, look, I play actual drums. I could have done it, but I didn't. This couple is another one that, like, okay, we had a little conflict with Monica's sister. This drop, she's realizes her wrongs and apologizes for it. So there's no more conflict.
Yeah, I loved. I thought the photo shoot was fun. It was like they were trying to. She apparently talked her sense to her sister. It's just like, yeah, I guess I'm sorry. I guess I didn't give you a fair shake. Whatever. I kind of wanted the photo shoot to be like, all right, Joey, now put Monica in a headlock. Like, right, stand back to back with your arms crossed, like you don't like each other. Monica, you throw the ring down. It's like, all right, Joey, now you're gonna pose with me, and Monica's take the picture. You're gonna pose like me and you are getting married, okay, Joey? Like, I just wanted the seething jealousy of her sister to come out in the while she's doing the photo shoot.
I just thought it was
posing to me, not her.
I thought it was funny because it was like when she said with her sister, I was like, with her sister. I was like, oh, okay, this is what trying looks like. Okay.
Well, that's what I said. It's like the complete opposite of the David and Lauren thing. It's like, no, this is what it looks like when you have a person who doesn't approve of the couple but is actually working on it. And what what she did was like, yeah, I talked to my sister, they've met, and I don't even think the sister's necessarily 100% on board, but she is trying to be supportive.
Yeah.
Trying to at least not actively antagonize the couple.
Right. Sad. But yeah, that was so cute. And then even her say it's like y'all are in love or something. That was hilarious. But yeah, it seems like, okay, now it's smooth sailing because like there's no other points of conflict. Their last date goes well. It seems like, I mean, what was that in the previews when it was like Monica was like, it seems like I'm more into this than he is.
Well, I think wasn't that just a clip of her being like, yeah, I wonder if I might be more into it than he is.
Yeah, she did say that up in the lead up to the last date where she's like, she says she feels like he's holding back. So for that reason, she's holding back. So she's not sure if she's more into it than he is and she didn't really give a lot of clear evidence as to why she thinks this. She's just saying it.
Yeah.
They do have a conversation about him not showing her enough PDA or outward affection. Yeah, because she's like, because she's comparing herself to the other couple. She's like, when we're out with the other couples, I see them touching and kissing, and I'm just wondering, like, why aren't we on that level? But he does say he's getting better at it. She agrees. So it's just like, okay, I mean, so that's even not too much of an issue,
right?
So and they really were just kind of smooth sailing through the rest of these drops, and they haven't really, like, similar to Daniel and Taylor, had really no big conflict outside of the small conflict of her sister.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, I think theirs was when we got the montage of a lot of different, or the not really montage, the clips of a lot of people going on their dates. Theirs was probably the shortest. They showed them very briefly playing pickleball for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So.
So much, so quick. I missed even writing that down.
And like almost nothing happened at all in the like dress suit shopping montage that we get. It was
For
like
anyone, yeah.
for anyone, it was just very straightforward to the point where they showed every single person come out in their dress and they're like had a whole 2 minutes with each one. I'm like, okay, it's a lot.
And for a season that has supersized episodes, I don't know where the time's going, because typically we would have like Vanessa would be there with the brides and asking the bride's family about them.
Yep.
We really didn't get any of these big monologues we're used to having at the dress fittings. Just like,
Yeah.
okay, this is my dress. The mom's like, oh my God, that dress was great on you. End of scene. Like,
That was it. Yeah. No conflict.
Yeah. So do we think it's an easy yes for both of them?
I don't know, because she does mention some things of like, I'm not sure if he's into it as much as me. Like he's a little, like he's not as affectionate, not as touching. Like he just seems like he's just kind of here. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of our surprise no's from him.
Yeah.
But from what they're trying to tell us, it looks like it might be a double yes. But I would be surprised if it was a surprise no from him.
I could see it as a double yes. I could see it as either one of them, if not both of them, saying no just for saying like, yeah, we're just not 100% sure. And it being almost the Kenny and Kelly kind of thing from season 1, where it was like, we weren't shown anything up until the no. And sometimes you get that when the couple doesn't, it's like they don't exactly have conflict. They just don't, it just doesn't feel right. And there's no great way of showing that kind of, there's no big drama.
But I wouldn't even say this doesn't feel right. To me, this feels right. It feels like they're both on the same page, but we're getting this like low key from her of like, I'm not sure if he's like really, really in this or not. Yeah. So for that, I would say it might be a no from him, just because even he said to her, like, you know, I'm not going to know until the day of what my answer is going to be. So for that, I might think like, what do you think? Like, are you overthinking it? What are you doing? So for that, just to be different, I'll put my guess as a no from him and a yes from her. If we even get a yes from her, I don't know. That's just my thought on it. But would not be shocked at all if it's just a double yes and it's just as easy as it seems.
Right. I feel like it's a double yes. If either one of them was a no, I would think Joey, because maybe he has reservations that we aren't aware of, or like, oh, I don't think we're there yet, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and we just haven't seen. I don't even know of any confessionals we've seen of him talking about the relationship at all.
Yeah.
So like, I'm trying to rack my brain, because we've seen enough from her about how she feels about the relationship, but I just can't think of any confessionals where he's really said what's on his mind about the relationship.
Well, don't you remember when she missed that pepperoni on the pizza? Like, red flag.
No, yeah, that very substantial information about the relationship. So I feel like we're not getting enough information from him. So it makes me think that there could be a path to a no for him.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our last couple.
Yeah, Sarah and Ben. Well, you know, I've been feeling sick to my stomach. I got almost all the way through my ginger ale. I think I'm gonna have to tap out here, but you two take it away.
Ben just makes you sick. You just can't.
Makes me sick. I just can't handle this.
Ben's gonna take you over. Ben's gonna take you over the edge. Just literally spill your guts on.
I know. You know what? No sermon from his church could have.
You don't want to sit through another 3 minutes of watching them watch the sermon?
No, I'm good. But but yeah, I do have to head out. But this, I will say, the most frustrating thing about this was that it was a cliffhanger. And I'm like, really? We got all the way to the aisle. Just give me the answers.
Give us your quick preview. What do you think she's going to say, yes or no?
I was actually very much studying her facial expression of like, there was a moment where it was sort of like tense, and then she smiled a little, and I was like, ooh, yes. And then they cut to a part where she wasn't smiling. I'm like, oh, what is the order?
No.
I think it's actually going to be a yes. I think it's going to be sort of a surprise yes.
Okay.
All right.
I think he's 100% yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that's a question.
He sees no issues at all.
Yeah.
Of course he doesn't, because he's the one with all the issues.
Yes,
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see for next time. But anyway,
Okay.
Asia and Jason, take it home. I'll listen to the last
Feel better.
Fam
Mary.
jam
Feel better.
out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll try. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. So we have Ben and Sarah here, who it just seems like, I thought when she continued to bring up this conversation of like, hey, I want to make sure that we don't have any differences. when she continued to bring that up, and then finally when they were glamping, he's like, we keep talking about this. I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry that it's important to her that you understand her viewpoints, because you're so, I don't care about it all. It matters.
He's just like, you just won't shut the F up about these LGBT matters or whatever the acronym is. I don't even know what you're talking about. You keep bringing it up. You're just overshadowing the good stuff. Like, why do you keep having to bring that up? It's like, okay, like we understand that you don't feel as strongly about this as she does. And that's the issue, Ben. That is the problem.
Exactly.
He's like, what are you talking about it? So yeah, you really don't understand, my man. You don't.
Exactly. I mean, we did get to see him meet her sister and her sister's partner. So it's Lisa and Kelsey. I think Kelsey is the one that is.
Kelsey is the partner.
Yes, Kelsey is the partner. And Kelsey was the most vocal. Kelsey said, hey, I'm coming here with some opinions and thoughts and facts, and I'm going to express those. I don't care what Lisa got going on. I'm going to express myself.
Kelsey is, I don't know how long Kelsey and Lisa have been together.
It has to be a minute for her to see like Sarah as a sister.
Yeah, to be this comfortable with Sarah, to be like, let me tell you the real tea, girl. Like, let me be straight with you, because you can tell Lisa's kind of hesitant, but Kelsey's like, nah, girl, sorry, babe, I got this. Let me get him, because you're right. She is the one that's the most like out front, being like, are you sure about this? Like, have you thought about this and this?
Right.
Like, and the way the conversation went is just like Ben and Sarah over here trying to present the best picture of a couple, like, we are so aligned on everything, like he's even willing to accept your kind, like, isn't that great? And it's Kelsey clocks it, and honestly I hadn't even clocked things like that, and like it made me think about like terminology I use when talking about things, and it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, why do you say the word accept when you talk about me and my community? We're not people that need to be accepted. We're not people that need to be like brought into something. Yes, accept is like just a step above tolerated. And it's like, yeah, that's not how we should be looking at this. And Sarah herself was like, oh, like, am I also like a wrong person? Like, it seemed like she was surprised, like, oh, I said something wrong. Like, tell me what to say. Tell me the right word.
I always say acceptance.
Yeah. And it does make you think, because I'm sure that's probably terminology I've used as well to talk about those things.
Because acceptance kind of paints this picture of just like, oh yeah, we're accepting you into what we think is normal.
Yes,
we're
accepting you and all your wrong thoughts into
us,
into normality, like we are.
Right.
It's wrong, but we'll let you come in and be wrong. That's just kind of how it feels. So much like Sarah, I'm like, okay, what is the better way to say that? We're inclusive. We are this.
We embrace. I feel like embrace is like a strong word for like, okay, I don't just disagree with your lifestyle, but I'm willing to like, it's not that I disagree with your lifestyle. Maybe I'm ignorant to it. Maybe I don't understand. And so I'm going to embrace you and love you for who you are and learn more about your lifestyle, learn more about your thoughts and perspectives on things, and not project my ignorance onto what I think your lifestyle is all about.
Yeah, because accept is kind of like, well, we'll just agree to disagree. Like, we'll be friendly, but I still think your lifestyle is wrong. So yeah, I think embrace is good. So just being, and listen, we're all learning every day, because you have Sarah, who is definitely an ally, who is still not using the right terminology. So I think that's important to point out, and I love that Kelsey brought that up.
But she was trying to make it clear too. She's like, just the way she's, can we stop saying acceptance? But even when Sarah was like, wait, okay, what's the right word? Even when Sarah took that approach, Kelsey's like, no, not you. Because they're really talking about his church, and that's how they frame it. And so that's kind of like, whether Sarah has used this in other settings or whatever, is definitely how his church frames their thoughts on the LGBTQ community with like acceptance. And so I just thought it was like so funny, as Kelsey, as the sister-in-law, she said, whoa. Let me stop you right there. She was another MVP. Molly, Kelsey,
the conversation was it was interesting because it was like they were trying to convince Kelsey and Lisa, like, no, like our love is real, like you don't understand. And Kelsey and Lisa were just like, nah, like we not having it, babe. Like this seems fine now, but I think even I don't even know if it's I don't know what is the bigger issue for them. Is it like his politics and his stance on things, or just the fact that this is way too fast to get married? Like Ben could be
I
the
think
greatest guy in the world.
former.
Yeah.
I think Sarah is totally fine with the speed. I think she is like,
Well, not Sarah. I mean, Sarah's people.
oh, Kelsey. Okay, Kelsey
Yes.
and Lisa.
Yeah, is that the biggest issue for them? Is like that it's just so fast. Like you can't actually really know this man. You can't know who he really is in just what however how long it's been 4 or 5 weeks. You can't really know him, or is it Ben's stance in politics? It could be a mixture of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's a lot of it is the speed at which this is happening.
I mean, and I feel like Kelsey and Lisa can also see that it could be very easy to have the wool pull over your eyes in that first phase. I mean, they even bring it up how lesbians U-Haul, and it's just like at the beginning of the relationship, so happy, let's move in together, like on the second date, right?
Ben was like, oh, that's so cute. Like he had never heard that before.
It's like, but I'm sorry, don't you have a friend who has a the actress you hired didn't tell you about that piece.
She didn't put that in the dossier. And when I asked her what it's like being a lesbian, so I can have talking points, she didn't tell me that.
He did do a TikTok of like dispelling any of the whatever, and he was like, yeah. So people think my friends are actors. They are not. They are my long-term friends.
You remember when we all thought that that Kwame had hired someone to be his sister in that season of Love Is Blind?
Yes. Definitely was his sister. Some of these people are just so unbelievable. They have to be hired, right? Hired to be a friend. And so I think it was very interesting, just this, like the fact that they can clearly see he could be putting his best foot forward at this point.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that he is your husband.
Yeah. And like, I thought it was interesting that they were talking about like, yeah, we've talked about what would happen if we had LGBT children. And it's like, okay, what was that?
Yeah.
Because we didn't really get that answer.
Ben probably said, we'll accept them.
Or something like, we'll cross that bridge if you ever get to it. Like, like we'll talk about it if it happens. Like, I don't know what that conversation was. And then for them to talk about like, yeah, we're both financially conservative, but socially liberal. It's like, what does that mean? Like, it seems like a lot of it seems like a lot of fluffy talk to get past the actual issues of like, yeah, we both agree. And I liked how Kelsey was like, yeah. And she talked about privilege buckets. I'm like, oh my God, this is so interesting. She's like, me and Lisa have a certain amount in our privilege bucket. Sarah, you have a certain amount of your privilege bucket. But Ben, your privilege bucket is filled all the way up. Your cup runneth over with privilege. And Kelsey's like, and that could mean that yes, you have some agreements on thoughts and values, but you might vote differently. So it's important to get all those issues out on the table before you decide to get married. I was like, that is so smart. That's such a smart way to put that. And I loved how they were trying to give Sarah so much to think about, because like Sarah just seems like this, like, oh, everything's so rosy and perfect. Like, nah, girl, you got to think. You got to use your brain. They're really trying to caution her, like think about it. Because I don't know. I feel like they see Ben and they may think that Ben is just too good to be true. He's saying all these things, but he could be a shim-shammer, Sarah. So think about that. I feel like that's what they're really trying to get through to her in this conversation.
And they even tell her, like, y'all need to talk more about politics.
Yeah.
Because this fiscally conservative and socially liberal, that is a very interesting way to describe yourselves in a way that makes you feel like you are the same. And her sister said it great. She said, finding someone who is the same is not the same as finding someone who compliments you.
Yeah, because that whole financially conservative, social liberal thing can mask a lot of issues. Like, okay, great. We don't have to talk about all those issues because we are on the same page in the way we think.
Right,
like, it's like the faith and religion conversation. Like, yes, we are both the same faith, but we don't interpret that faith the same way.
Exactly.
That's exactly like what this is. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
very important to get those things all out on the table to talk about them.
Right. I just feel like they were able to, I feel like this was a very important conversation for Sarah to have, to just kind of like, okay, let me take off the rose color. It's like Kelsey reached over the table and took those rose colored glasses
Just
off.
smash them.
She said, let me take those from you, sweetie, so
Mhm.
that you could see the actual decision that's in front of you and see if that is who you really want to be with. It's supposed to be forever. We know people be getting divorced left and right, but
Yeah.
who you want to marry, because it seems fine now, but it's totally different living it.
Yes.
It's totally different until something happens in the world and you want to talk about it with Ben, and Ben's like, it doesn't really affect me.
Exactly.
Like, wait a second. So that was a really good conversation. But yeah, even the glamping conversation was also really big for them. I felt like this drop moved the needle the most for Ben and Sarah and Dave and Lauren, obviously, because they broke up. But for Ben and Sarah, when they went glamping, Sarah said, "Oh, Ben, I did my homework. I in my own time, I went and watched a sermon so that I could get the viewpoint of your church service, because we did get a scene of them going to the church service, and I kid you not, it was 3 minutes of watching them watch the pastor
and watching Sarah be, I don't know if she was perturbed or just super bored. I'm not sure which one it was. Because
I mean, you could have
really
said the same about Ben. Ben was readjusting just as much. I really hope he doesn't doze off.
And Ben is laughing at the terrible jokes that the pastor says, like, ha, 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 ha. And Sarah's just like,
like, Sarah, don't you love that?
You get it? Like Ben loves like Tim Allen, Tim and Toolman Taylor Home Improvement humor. Like, obviously that's what that is.
Right.
And because Sarah's like, I didn't really get a lot of information about the church in this like sermon that was being presented, because they didn't really talk about it. And so she's not sure yet if this is gonna be her church home. Like, listen, I came from a very specific type of church experience. And watching that church scene, I was like, first of all, why y'all dress so casually? Because
that's the new age, modern, contemporary church.
I guess I was like, no way would my mama let me out the house in some jeans and some like, plaid shirt or something. Like, no way, Jose. And then I'm also like, where the hell is everybody at? Like, it's like, ain't nobody here. Like, is this?
I'm sorry. When the church is that empty, my church back home in Dallas, they're not opening up the second floor unless the first floor is packed to capacity.
I was also like, is this mic check before the actual like proceeding? Because like there ain't nobody here. And then they panned around the place. I was like, okay, well, there's some people here, but there's a lot of empty seats. I was like, they did not sell enough tickets to this thing, obviously. It was a very different experience than what I'm used to, which is fine,
Yeah.
Praise and worship the way you want to praise and worship, but I don't care.
They said, look, we gotta set up our camera equipment, so we need space. So let's go up to the balcony.
They had drinks. Like where I'm from, you are not allowed to bring drinks into the sanctuary. Okay, like that is a no. You are getting cussed out by an usher if they see you with a drink in your hand. Okay, that's a no. So it's just I laughed at how different the experience is that I've had. But I haven't been to church in quite a while, so it's different from what I'm used to, which I found was hilarious.
That is how it is now. Because like even my church back home has like loosened up a little bit in terms of like wardrobe. It used to be like every 5th Sunday you could wear a jean. Like, don't roll up with no jeans any other Sunday. 5th Sunday will be loose. Okay, maybe the summers we know it's hot. It's Texas. But no, now like, if you're a lot of these like churches that are like more modern, like you're in, you're out. It's an hour, right? You start with worship and then you have the sermon.
They also mentioned that they baptized over 1,000 people the week before. I'm like, are y'all doing home baptisms? Like, are y'all doing online baptisms? Like,
they probably have multiple campuses.
Fill up your tub and dunk yourself in the everlasting waters in your tub. Like, I don't know. It was just a different experience for me.
That's hilarious. They probably have multiple campuses, and usually stuff like that is
Campuses?
reported at like, okay, we have a campus on this side of town, campus on that side of town, maybe in another city, and in
Oh.
total a
So
thousand.
this is a church conglomerate. Okay, I didn't even know they had those type of things.
Yes.
Wow, I need to be educated for
Exactly.
sure.
So I was just shocked. We got a full footage of them in church,
Yeah.
just to kind of see her read of it. And so that
She was
sparked her.
not. She was not impressed. Let's just say
She
that.
said, I didn't really get the answers I was looking for in terms of what they believe.
And I just wonder what she thinks she was gonna get. Like, does she think there's a
They
sermon?
said this is our stance on.
Yeah, every week there's a sermon outlining how we feel about the LGBT
They said
community.
abortion. This is what we feel. LGBTQ plus community.
It's posted in the pews. They got little pamphlets. Now remember, this is how we feel about all these issues.
They
Sarah.
said sex before marriage. This is what we believe.
Oh my God. So yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was that prompted her to go do more research. And so she wanted to get their view on the LGBTQ plus community. And she said they have a more traditional stance on it. Like they talked about it, but they have this traditional stance. He's like, oh, I really didn't know what they believe. She's like, I'm sorry. How do you not know their stance and you're a member? Because that's the type of member he is.
Right. Ben has a knack of forgetting things when the time is right. He's like, when he's talking about the TikTok lady, he's like, I really didn't remember how I treated that TikTok girl. It's like, I know you're asking, but it just left my mind. And now it's like, oh, you know what? I totally forgot what their stances are on the very important things to you. I have no clue. Sorry. So he has a very selective memory here. But
he does.
I also think he has somewhat of a point because, like we said, it's not as if every sermon or every reading is dealing with the LGBT community. If you're not deep rooted into the church community you're in, you might not know. You might.
But that's what he's saying. He is. He said this is a place where he he can call home. Like he feels. It's not like, oh yeah, I go to this church, but I go, but I'm not really involved, and that's one thing.
But I also think if you don't care to know what their stance is,
yes,
you could totally just not be seeing what their stance is. If you're not invested and interested to know, then you're not really going to find the answers. You're going to just you're just going to focus on the positive messaging and not even think about what their stance is, because they don't outright say what their stance is. Unless you see an interaction with a member of that community, you're not really going to get it. So I think he's willfully ignorant.
Yes, exactly. And the fact, this was really eye-opening when he said, well, we're never going to find a church that believes everything we believe.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, Ben. It should be most, but that's why also finding a church community is not a casual thing to do, because they're feeding into you every weekend. Like whenever you are going to get fed, they are delivering a message to you that ideally aligns with what you believe. So if they are 50% of the time saying stuff you don't believe, then why are you a part of that community?
Yeah. And it's like, yes, they won't have the exact same beliefs as me, but the top beliefs I have, they should align with those. Like I'll say the top 3 or 4 beliefs I have, they should align with my church community.
Like this feels like, this is definitely what? Top 10.
Yeah,
top 5.
I mean, listen, I have an LGBTQ sister, so this is probably top 3 or 2 to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's important. But yeah, he was really trying to kind of just move away from it and be like, let's not think about it too much. Like you're harping on it. It's not important, but it is important, Ben. It's very important.
Belief schmalief.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Why are you so upset about it?
We're just going somewhere to just sit. We enjoy a couple of tunes. Someone gets up and speaks, and then we leave. What, why are you caring about all the little details?
Yeah, and I thought the example she brought up was rather eye-opening about that community, because she was referencing this message of about people with kids with trans issues, and and the speaker was likening it to someone saying they're fat, and you tell them you're not fat, you just have to change your mindset. It's like, no, like that, you gotta run away from that.
Exactly.
I mean, listen, that's my view. That might be your view, Asia, but you listener or watcher out there, that might not be your view, but it's Sarah's view. So I think if Sarah does not agree with that view, Sarah should be like, no, this is not where I belong. This is not where I feel I am welcome. And Ben, if you feel like you belong and are welcome here, that might be that's a conversation you'll have to have about your core values.
Especially if you see your church home as a place to be with your wife. And if I'm telling you that your current church home isn't quite aligning with somewhere I would want to go, even Sarah says, like, oh, maybe, I'm not saying I would never go again. I may go on like a holiday or something, but she's already at the point where it's just like, that's not somewhere I'm going to be consistently spending my time, because now I know where their stance is. And there are other churches out there who would align with what Sarah's beliefs are. And Ben is just kind of like, well, you know, I'm open to finding somewhere else, but.
And Ben also says, but I'm not going to tell people what they believe is wrong. Which I think was also kind of like a thing to her of being like, hey, you're telling people they're wrong, and I don't want you telling me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like a undercover way of saying that to her.
Right. And look, Ben, what you believe could totally align with another woman out there. I think y'all shouldn't be forcing a square peg into a round hole, not to reference another show out there along these same lines, but you should not be trying to force it when it's such a strong. This isn't like, oh, I prefer tomatoes on my grilled cheese. Like, this is something that's very important to Sarah, and if it's not a priority to you, then that is a conflict.
Yeah, I think religion is a tough thing to compromise on, right? Because, and I think they're trying. I think Sarah wants to try. Sarah wants to try and compromise and say, I don't go to church right now at all. I'm saying I'm willing to go to church if it's the right church community. So Ben, why don't you come and you do your compromise? Your compromise is trying to find a different church community to belong to that we can both belong to, which I think is a way to go about it, but it's going to be a very tough road to hoe to try and to find this church community that you both can be together on.
Exactly, because you find that church that's perfect for Sarah. Now Ben is going to be like, I don't know. There's some things they said that I don't really believe. Well, yeah, because you believe what your original church that you've been going to believes, but you wouldn't be straight up about that with Sarah because you're just trying to make it work. And even at the end of this conversation, where she's like, all right, we've just had this very deep conversation about what she wanted to talk about. And she's like, so do you have any questions for me? He's like, I'm tired.
Can we stop talking about serious stuff and go to bed now?
Right. I'm sorry.
You're really bumming me out.
So I think, and this was their last before the wedding, and we did get to their wedding. And, you know, I think she's starting to, I think that her reservations, and even her saying, my heart is saying say yes, but my brain is saying say no.
Well, she says, I don't know, is what the brain says.
Or I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that is going to weigh heavier over her heart.
Interesting.
Because I feel like she seems like a very brainy person. Like, she's in her thoughts about things. Stuff needs to make sense to her. And I don't think if she's thinking it doesn't make sense to marry Ben, just because her heart is in it right now, I don't think that's a big enough reason.
Yeah, I think she's been trying to really override her brain this whole time. She's really been trying to all right, brain, shut up, brain. I'm trying to listen to heart. Shut the F up, brain. And so the question is, when the time comes, is she going to be able to override her brain, or is her brain going to win the battle and be like, no, girl, he is not the one for you. Listen to your family. Like, I thought on the wedding day, it was very interesting because Lisa and Kelsey are just like still trying to get her like, think about yourself, think about what you actually want, and not what Ben wants, or not what mom wants, because mom when mom hears that Ben's a very churchy person, she's like, oh yeah, you should lean into that. You should go
Right?
with that. And
I've
so
been
it's
trying to
just
go
like,
get you to go to church for years.
yeah. So it's just like everyone, like a lot of people around her probably want her to just swallow it and say, Ben is the one for you. These little church things don't matter. Go with Ben. But you know,
Yeah.
we have the other side of the shoulder with Kelsey and Lisa being like, no. Think about it. This may not be the one for you forever. So don't go into this saying yes just because he wants you to or you think you should. Really, really think about it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And now it makes me think of that too, just on the topic of churches. Earlier we were talking about what is a better word for acceptance. Embrace, I would say, is definitely one of them, but also affirm, because those are the type. There are churches out there that are affirming of the they're called affirming churches, where they are they embrace the LGBTQ plus community. And so I was thinking, like, affirm is also another word.
Yeah, it's not just saying yes, you have flaws because you believe in this. It's that we believe them too. We are here with you. We're not
exactly.
We're not
We're
standing
encouraging
like
you. We're not trying to say, oh, well, this is a phase.
Yeah, I guess you can come in. Like, we don't agree, but we won't let you not come.
Yeah, we're not going to kick you out.
Yeah, it's like, no, we stand with you. Like, we are not
exactly.
We are supporting you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a lot to think about.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see what Sarah ends up saying, because it seems very clear that Ben is a yes.
Another MVP in this episode for me was Andy, her stepdad.
Wait, what? Like, tell me more.
He was like, "You sure about this?" He's like, right up until they're about to like walk down the aisle, he's like, "So what value does he bring to your life? Like, what do you like?
right.
How does he change your life for the better?" Sarah's like, "I mean, like, he's great." It's like, and he's like, "I don't know." Just the way that Andy was, it was so fun. Like, all the like when they were up in the bridal suite, and he's talking about like how much of a pain in the ass she is, but you know, she's you know, she's growing up too fast. Like, I remember playing SpongeBob with you as a child. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, Andy. I don't remember what her situation is with her dad. I don't remember if the dad's alive or.
I cannot remember what she said in the beginning. Yeah.
But Andy seems to have been around for a while, and that she probably thinks of him as like her father, because I mean, he is the one that walked her down the aisle. So yeah, I just thought he was awesome about how he was kind of a no nonsense, but it kind of like also like, if this is what you think you want, like I will support you, but also don't forget, like, you can back out of this if you want. Like,
at any moment.
Yeah, it just seemed like Andy, Lisa, and Kelsey were all just like, you don't have to go through this if you don't want. Mom's like, no, you go through with it. Go to church.
Exactly. All right, that's it.
Well, did you give your official guess about, is she going to say yes or no?
I think she'll say no, and I think he says yes. I think her head's going to win over her heart.
I think she'll say yes. I think,
and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a no, but I want to keep dating type of thing. And then we find out in the reunion, like, either it blossomed into more, and Ben's been so open and encouraging and, you know, affirming. But I think I could see it going either way there, but I think right now at the altar, she's going to say no.
I think she'll say yes. Because he said something about like, I want to kiss you, like when they're up the altar. She's like, we will, like in a minute. So I don't know, like, to me that screams like, I want to say yes. But do we think there's, because as a programming note, next week we will be waiting until the reunion airs to talk about the finale and the reunion together in one podcast. Do we think there's going to be any people that say no, but yes, you know, no right now, but I want to keep dating to still get to know each other, and then I don't know, do they keep dating? My reunion, will we get people that are still dating that said no at the wedding?
The only people I could see potentially saying no at the altar, and maybe they continue to try, I could see that with Virginia and Devin. Like, I could see her not wanting, like, even if she says no at the altar, not wanting to completely give up on it yet, because she feels like there's something there. But outside of that, I don't know.
I can honestly see that for almost everyone, to be honest. I mean, Daniel and Taylor for me are 2 yeses, bar none. To me, if you ask me right now, I think we're getting a 4 for 4. If you ask me right now. Okay. But I could see Virginia, Devin, and Joey and Monica still dating. I don't know if I see that for Sarah and Ben exactly. I think if
Mhm.
Sarah
Oh, if
says
she
no,
says no.
yeah, I think if Sarah says no, it's just a no. But I do think Joey and Monica and Virginia and Devin could keep exploring things if they said no.
What if with Ben and Sarah, Sarah says yes, but Ben is like, you brought up stuff one too many times.
That would be a season 2, like, what did you even show me? If Ben
Mhm.
said no, you showed me a totally different story than what you should have been showing me. 'Cause that's all what season 2 was. Like, wait, they said no, like, but you've been showing us they're going to say yes all season. So I don't know
Mhm.
what you think you've been showing. Whereas
Yeah.
I think Ben is like all steam ahead. Yes, I think he even said that in the lead up to the wedding. He's like, I'm a yes. Like I.
Mhm.
So I think the only question for that is Sarah. Um,
Yeah.
but I think right now my official prediction
Locking it in.
is 4 yeses
Wow.
down the road.
That's just based on statistics.
Yeah,
I
it
can't
probably
say four yeses.
yeah. So who is your no then? Sarah's your no. Uh,
Sarah's my no. Virginia is my
Virginia's a
no.
no.
I would say
Jo-
that's it.
Joey and Monica are 2 yeses for you.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor 2 yeses. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I could see that. I could
Yeah.
definitely see that. I don't think the show has shown me enough for anyone to say no because
Yeah.
no one really expressed too much doubt in any of their confessionals or conversations
Uh-huh.
for me to actually think there's going to be a no, which is so weird for me
I
because there's
just
actually something that's like they'll say no for this reason. They've said they're having doubts, but no one's really expressed doubt.
I couldn't put it past them to just for the shock value make us think,
Yeah.
oh. So all right. Well, then we will be back next week to talk about the finale and the reunion together. So after the finale drops, don't be looking for the pod. Wait until after the reunion, and we will talk about the finale and the reunion all in one podcast. Make sure you go follow the Love at First Sight feed. Go subscribe to Love at First Sight, the Love at First Sight feed to get all of our podcasts for Love is Blind and Married at First Sight. Make sure you subscribe to the RHAP YouTube channel where you can see our lovely faces there. And yeah, leave us some comments on YouTube. Leave us 5-star rating and review over wherever you listen to your podcast. Jason, where can people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky, JR33D. You also find me podcasting, as Asia mentioned, about Married at First Sight with her. And you can find me on The Good Pod, talking with Marissa Garza about the show The Good Wife, all the Good Wife related properties, including Elsbeth. Over on the We Know Scripted TV side of Rob Hat's podcast, me and Sasha Joseph are going to be talking about the weekly releases for Daredevil. Over there on the We Know Scripted TV feed, so you can check that out as well if that is your bag. Other than that, that's it for me. Asia, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me on all social media at Asia Like Asia. That's AYSHA like ASIA. Most recently, I was on the Black by Reality podcast talking about episode 10 of The Traitors. So we had a great time over there talking about the latest episode. Last week, I was on the Free Agent pod talking about episode 9 of The Traitors. And then, yes, every week you can catch me talking about Married at First Sight with Jason and sometimes Mari. And we have a great time over there talking about season 18. You don't even need to watch the show. Just come join in on the fun. We're having a great time talking about it.
You need some drama and mess from this
Yeah.
show. You'll find plenty of it over Married at First Sight this season.
Yes, exactly. And if you want to join our Facebook group to chat along and have other people to talk about the show with, just go look up our Facebook group at A Perfect Match Podcast. And Jason, what do you want the password to be this week?
Oh man, I don't have anything like too pressing right now. So it'd be something about the prenup. What really happened here?
Yeah.
You got anything?
Yeah, just do something with a prenup.
Yeah, if you mention prenup in the password, we'll give it to you. I don't have the
Yeah.
brain power to come up with something clever on the
Right.
spot right now.
Exactly. So just prenup and agree to the group rules. We'll let you in. And then you'll have people to talk about the latest drop of Love is Blind with. And then just stick around for Married at First Sight chatter. Or leave if you want. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. It's up to you.
No. Make the password. My sister said. Make that.
Oh, my sister said. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Put in My Sister Said. And then on you could find us at A Perfect Match Podcast on Facebook. Join our Facebook group and agree to the group rules. All right. We'll see y'all next week to talk about the finale and the reunion. Bye.